Huh. He composed himself, adjusting his glasses. He screamed internally. What? This is what he prepared for a whole day. Just 4 sentences. And in the end, he still wants to fight. The entire hall stared at him, their jaws on the floor. Only Lin was giving him a trembling thumbs up. As expected of my big bro. So King cool. Lucian tilted his head, a taunting smile on his face. What's wrong? No one dares to come up? Are all you flies useless trash? Hearing this, the students shot up from their seats, their faces red with anger. Kevin C. slammed his hand on the table and roared. Damn it, he shouted. You're too arrogant, Lucian. He leaped up, his body enveloped in an aura. Let Kevin C. teach you a lesson. Others joined in. Does he really think he's invincible? Ah, that's right. Kevin cracked his knuckles, a smug look on his face. The bald guy sneered. It's been a long time since anyone dared to talk so big in front of me. A girl with long white hair stood up. Perfect. I also want to see for myself just how strong the Supreme Martial Champion really is. Hector frowned, his heart sinking. This is bad. This atmosphere, my intuition tells me this is not a smart choice. But if he didn't stand up now, everyone would think he was afraid of Lucian. With a determined look, he stood up. Then, I hope the Supreme Champion will give me some pointers. The other students also stood up, their expressions hostile, ready for battle. The collective aura of the students formed a massive dragon, roaring at Lucian. They all shouted in unison, Please give us your guidance. A teacher in the back looked at the vice principal in panic. What's happening, vice principal? Vice Principal Zhao just held up a hand to stop him. He watched with a calm expression. No rush. Let's see how this plays out first. Only Lin stood his ground, clenching his fists and shouting defiantly. You curs. Ganging up on him, huh? Come on, then. Lucian looked down at him, a little surprised. Lin thought, damn it, I'm going to get beaten up for this, but big bro can't fight so many people alone. I can't let him lose face. The aura dragon coiled, ready to strike. Lucian, however, just sneered. So, trash gathered together can create some pressure. His expression darkened, his eyes glowing red. Perfect. I also want to see. He unleashed his own demonic aura, which crashed into the dragon, forcing it back. What gives you trash the right to sit in the same room as me? In the next instant, he vanished. He reappeared in front of Kevin C., his fist raised. You're first. Kevin, still clad in his aura armor, didn't have time to react. He blocked with his arm, but the force of the punch sent him flying 8 meters back into the wall. Another student kicked at him, but Lucian caught the attack mid-air. He looked at the student, his aura flaring. The weakest one, and the most insolent. He casually tossed the student aside and glanced behind him just as a massive fireball came hurtling towards him. The student who had thrown it was standing on a chair, a crazed look in his eyes. He laughed maniacally. Ha ha! No matter how strong you are, can you withstand this flame? Suddenly, a hand shot through the flame and grabbed his face. The student's eyes widened in terror as the fire dissipated, replaced by sharp sparks aimed at him. The flames on Lucian's clothes died down. He looked at his scorched sleeve with a hint of annoyance. Right, my aura shield doesn't provide complete coverage. My clothes got a little burnt. He then glanced to the side. A beam of light shot toward his arm. He pulled it back, looking down as the fire user fell to the ground. More beams of light shot towards him, and he dodged them. A girl with white hair moved like the wind, a sword in her hand. Great power, insane defense, huh? Then I'll use my speed to slowly carve you up. But before she could react, Lucian appeared behind her in a flash and grabbed her leg. Her eyes widened in shock. He used breath of wind. She cried out as she was swung around and thrown towards the ceiling. In the midst of the chaos, a girl's body began to glow. I'm about to lose control of my power. Her body shot out sharp needles towards him. Don't blame me. The needles struck him in the back, tearing through his clothes and drawing blood. The girl's eyes lit up with excitement. Success. I got him. I got Lucian. But Lucian just calmly glanced at her and flexed his muscles, forcing the needles out of his back. He then telekinetically controlled the needles and sent them flying back at her. Who gave you permission to scratch my back? The girl stared in terror, backing away. His eyes were murderous as he glared at her. Impossible. You're a spirit master too? The needles pinned her to the wall. She screamed in terror. Led by Hector, the remaining students charged at him. Damn it. Everyone all together. They swarmed him, weapons raised. Lucian just turned and looked at them with an expression of pure boredom. A massive explosion sent them all flying back. He stepped forward, looking down at the terrified and defeated students. As expected, trash is still trash, even when you pile it all together. He stood amidst the smoke and dust, his foot on a fallen sword, a look of disappointment on his face. Sigh, I had too much hope for you all. The teacher from before stared in shock. Vice Principal Zhao was completely stunned. Then, a hopeful smile spread across his face. Truly worth looking forward to. He watched as Lucian's clothes and body healed themselves. Tomorrow, when the other 6 sacred martial universities see this, Hector and his group, who hadn't even had a chance to attack, stared in horror. How did it turn out like this? I was still wondering whether or not to make a move, and it's already over. Lucian walked past, stepping on the face of an unconscious student. Hector's face fell, and he trembled. The hero's crusade has failed. He remembered Lucian's cold, disdainful gaze. The world will now welcome the long reign of the Dark Demon King. He imagined himself and the other heroes kneeling before him in defeat. Back in reality, Lucian waved a hand in front of his face. Hey! Hector snapped out of it, his body stiff. Lucian thought, why is he frozen? And he's even quoting a familiar line from my old world. You stood up earlier too, right? He asked. Hector's eyes widened in terror, and he shook his head so violently it looked like it would fall off. No! He looked at the distance between himself and his chair, then quickly scrambled to pick it up and sit down. I didn't. Absolutely not. See? I'm sitting right here. Lucian just stared at him. Whatever. Can't let you off the hook. He flicked him on the head, making him cry out in pain. Ow! With no one left to challenge him, he announced calmly, I gave you a chance, but unfortunately, you didn't take it. He pointed at the defeated students on the ground. When these guys wake up, tell them not to show their faces in front of me again. Do you understand? The remaining students nodded vigorously, their faces pale. Understood. Understood. He then turned to the vice principal with a calm smile. Vice principal, my speech as the new student representative is now finished. Vice Principal Zhao beamed with satisfaction. Excellent. A few students stay behind to clean up the hall. Take the injured to the infirmary. The rest of you are dismissed. The 57th new student welcoming ceremony of the 7th Sacred Martial University concluded perfectly. News spread like wildfire. Strongest new student in history. 1 versus 100 dominates the new student rankings. Lucian was depicted as a monster fighting a horde of students. Commentaries praised his overwhelming power. A news anchor's voice said, second day of school, and he's already aiming for the senior ranking board. If you're still slacking, you better step up your game. An analysis chart appeared on screen. Level 6 martial artist plus level 3 spirit master. A comprehensive analysis of the supreme martial champion Lucian's strength. The broadcast concluded. The birth of the 7th Sacred Martial University's strongest new star. Another commentator said, Lucian's actions were like a stone thrown into a calm lake, creating ripples. Lucian sat watching TV, sipping water. He gritted his teeth. These headlines all make me sound like a max-level player who wandered into the beginner's village. Am I really that kind of person? He pondered, but it's true. I have become more violent lately. It seems I've gotten used to solving everything with force. Is it because my strength increased too quickly? That's probably part of it. But the most important reason, he concluded, is that those guys were just too weak. Fighting them felt like I had cheat codes enabled, just mowing down grass. He imagined himself casually cutting down students with a lawnmower. Being weak isn't a sin, but being weak and not knowing it is. And being weak and annoying others is even worse. He clenched his fist, shattering the glass in his hand. Violence may not solve all problems, but it can solve most of them. A realization dawned on him. Divine Sun, King's Sutra, Stellar Body Refinement Technique, Natural Breathing Method. I originally planned to quickly raise my Fire Seed Resource Zone rank through displaying my saintly talent. He stared at his hand in shock as two streams of energy, one red and one blue, intertwined. I was supposed to reveal my talent. Maybe because of my desire to do so, the great sun in my mind suddenly loosened a bit, and my marshal had a breakthrough. It's time to send someone on their way, he decided. In a dreamscape, a battle of fire and ice raged. Lucian, his face grim, roared, "Exchange!" He charged towards Freya Zhao, who was defending with a shield on an icy field. She thrust her weapon at him repeatedly, but he dodged every attack, closing the distance. His fist flew towards her, but she blocked it with her shield. She countered with a powerful blow, shattering his spear. The tip of her own spear shot toward his neck. Using the breath of wind, he moved at the speed of light, circling behind her and unleashing his own weapon. Divine Sun King Sutra, 10x Spiritual Power, Crystal Visualization Method, he roared as his weapon shot towards her. The weapon struck her in the shoulder, and she cried out in pain. I finally won, he thought excitedly. But then, her arm shattered, and she gritted her teeth, sweat beading on her forehead. A large chunk of ice grew from her wound as she knelt on the ground, tears of pain in her eyes. What the hell? That's possible too, Lucian exclaimed in shock. Freya's arm reformed, stronger than before, and she pushed herself up with a smirk. She slammed her sharp, icy arm into the ground, shattering it, and then lifted a massive chunk of ice, 100 times her size. She held a massive ice shard above her head, then merged with it, her arms outstretched. Lucian, standing below, could only curse. Sage asterisk T. Damn it, I've never seen her use this move before. Is it a final resort after her health drops to a certain level? A giant ice phoenix formed above him, looking down. Lucian's aura flared. Grandmaster's Will, Blade Wheel Control, Martial Requiem. His weapon separated into multiple blades, forming a vortex around him as he pointed at the phoenix. The vortex shot towards the ice phoenix, a magic circle appearing behind it. Freya smiled excitedly. Lucian gritted his teeth. They both roared in unison, done. After the clash, Lucian fell to his knees, his body partially frozen. He coughed, looking at his frozen hand. Ha ha, did I lose again? Martial arts divine ability. Now, this is a martial arts divine ability. Freya stood before him, her weapon pointed at his face, surrounded by a wall of sharp ice. He closed his eyes, exhausted. Phew. In the end, I still couldn't beat you. She opened her mouth to speak, but said nothing. The mask on her face cracked and fell away, revealing a gentle smile. Her body turned to ice and began to dissipate. Lucian watched in shock as she collapsed. Her weapon fell from her grasp. Her body dissolved into streams of dark light, which flowed into him. What is this? Her memories? He saw a vision of a young, shy Freya. A voice said, "The teacher has brought someone. Her name is Freya Zhao." Another voice, belonging to a man carving a small iceberg, replied, her talent is not bad. He turned to her with a disdainful look. From now on, you are my disciple. The training was harsh. Freya sat huddled in a block of ice, shivering and sobbing. Outside, Master Lin, he asked, "Tell me, what do you want to learn?" She looked up, her face determined. "The spear. I want to learn your spear techniques." "Because," she explained, "you are strongest with the spear. You are the only powerhouse in base 1359 who has mastered the 5 realms of spearmanship." Her master just laughed. Time passed, and Freya grew up. She stood on a stage, hailed by the crowd below. Grandmaster Freya Zhao has broken through. A 17-year-old grandmaster. She has a chance to reach level 10 in this lifetime. Base 1359 has another grandmaster level genius. She looked at her master proudly. Master! He just smiled, his eyes closed. He shook his head. You are still far from ready. He turned and waved. Your frigid spirit has not yet reached the level of a glacial river. In a house, a wounded man pushed open the door. Freya, who was cultivating, turned. Who is it? The man leaned against the wall, covered in wounds. Freya Zhao, the city has fallen. What are you still doing here, cultivating? Is your heart also made of ice? Freya shot up, her voice filled with panic. What? Where's Master? The man looked down, his voice pained. He's dead. He was a madman. Before he left, he told us not to disturb you. She walked outside calmly. Is that so? Freya put on a blindfold, her eyes filled with sorrow. Master is dead. Then I will die too. She stood before a giant monster that was ravaging the city. A pity, I still haven't shown him. She charged forward, her icy aura flaring, and slammed her fist into the monster's head. That my frigid spirit has just awakened into a glacial river. Back in reality, Lucian clutched his head, his eyes squeezed shut in pain. He gasped for breath. Spear, spearmanship, spear Dao. I've never absorbed memory fragments like this before. Most of them are related to the spear. He clenched his fist, his eyes wide with amazement. Freya Zhao's martial arts treasure has given me a huge upgrade. My spearmanship was already at the insight realm, but after absorbing the glacial river martial arts memory fragment, it has surpassed the control realm and reached a completely new, higher realm of spearmanship. In his mind, fragmented images of Freya's techniques flashed. There's a difference between grandmasters. If Titan Nin's memory was a sphere full of impurities, then Freya Zhao's is a piece of clear ice. Even though she was only level 7 when she died, she was a 100% martial arts genius, capable of fighting opponents at level 8, much stronger than Titan Nin. Her martial will was also immensely stronger. There must be a core grandmaster technique left. He looked up at a sphere of ice, a wide grin on his face. Found it. This is Freya Zhao's core memory, her remaining grandmaster's will. He reached for the sphere, and it began to crack, revealing a light within. The light shot into his body. His eyes widened in revelation. So that's it. This is the frigid spirit. He swung his arm, and a spear appeared, a reflection of Freya behind him. He mimicked her movements, swinging the spear. A giant ice bird materialized, its eyes opening to look at him. This spear, its name is... He remembered Freya freezing a horde of monsters. The Frostfang prison spear. This spear can slay a great grandmaster. The next day, in the dreamscape, he sat scrolling through system panels. He read the information. Master Lin He, level 10 martial artist, profound spear Dao, creator of the Frostfang prison spear. Died in the Battle of Base 1359. Freya Zhao, level 7 martial artist, spearmanship genius, disciple of Master Lin He. Died in the Battle of Base 1359. Lucian clenched his fist, grinning. That old man was a level 10 powerhouse. A spear Dao that powerful. Why isn't it in the Fire Seed plan? If it were, it would be incredibly strong. Then he realized something. Wait, no. Cultivating 3 level 11 techniques at the same time is already pushing my mental limits. After all, my innate martial arts talent isn't that strong. I'm relying on the accumulation of 10,000 years of knowledge to have reached my current height. He thought of Freya's spear Dao. Fundamental techniques must be experienced step by step, but martial skills are different. The dreamscape is an unparalleled treasure for me. What I need to do is continue to inherit the ultimate skills of powerful zombies by killing them, just like with Freya Zhao. He looked at Master Lin He's profile. Then, my next target is to hunt down Master Lin He. He looked at a tall, ominous building. No, that's too difficult. His martial arts memory is a supreme existence, but his position is in the center of the main base. I can sense countless terrifying auras there, powerful enough to make me tremble. The difficulty is too high. I still have a long way to go. Suddenly, his head spun, and he gritted his teeth in pain. He clutched his chest, crying out in agony. White spots appeared on his body. My Grandmaster's wills are conflicting with each other. His body simultaneously burned and froze. What's happening? He cried out, using the crystal visualization method. He entered his own mindscape. On one side was a sphere of ice, and on the other, a figure of fire, both vying for dominance. He floated between them, horrified. Freya Zhao's Grandmaster's will is ice. Titan Nin's is eternal fire. Fire and ice are incompatible. If I don't handle this properly, my body will be destroyed. What should I do? The sleeping fire figure began to crack, and light shone from within. The power of ice was drawn into it, while his body absorbed the fire into its chest. After absorbing everything, his dormant body began to glow with a purple light. Techniques appeared before him. He stared in amazement. This is the golden embryo form recorded in the crystal visualization method. It can absorb a Grandmaster's will. This really saved my life. If I can completely construct the golden embryo form, how many types of Grandmaster's wills can my body accommodate? Maybe, the more the better. His eyes widened. Wait a minute. Images of the different wills appeared. My own Grandmaster's will isn't just a fusion of the wills of many powerhouses to form an ultimate one. My martial Tao, the 10 perfections, gradually advancing towards greater perfection. The sigils of the wills began to glow. The next morning, on the academy grounds, Lin jogged behind him. Big bro, you're super popular right now. The students are all suggesting you be put on the senior ranking board. Lucian just walked with his hands in his pockets. It's just a little fame. Lin grinned. To you it's nothing, right? Hee hee. Anyway, today we have to choose our main cold weapon for cultivation. What are you going to choose? I'll pick the same as you. Lucian just turned his head and continued walking. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. I'll probably choose the spear. Lin's face lit up. Really? The spear was my first choice too. Swords and sabers just feel too light. The spear is much more domineering. So cool. Lucian continued walking. You really want to learn the spear like me? All right, but you probably won't see me often. Lin looked at him, confused. Huh? What do you mean? They arrived at the martial arts classroom. The students were already seated, watching a projector screen. Lucian walked in casually, Lin following happily behind him. The students, including Hector, looked up at him, their faces pale with fear. Hector thought, from that day on. Lucian sat down. Hector quickly looked down, not daring to meet his gaze. Hector was lost in his thoughts, a sense of helplessness and despair washing over him. He felt like he was a tiny speck trapped in a giant glass of water, struggling to stay afloat. It's made me have nightmares of being trapped in a glass of water, surrounded by water, unable to climb out. He gasped for air, punching the glass walls in a futile attempt to escape. Unable to do anything, only able to struggle as the cold and despair slowly swallow me whole. And then I wake up. Every night, he would jolt awake from the same terrifying dream. The same dream, over and over again. Is the Supreme Champion really that scary? He looked up at Lucian, his eyes filled with a dawning realization. No, the source of the terror isn't the Supreme Champion, it's him. It's Lucian, he whispered, staring at the back of his head. A woman with long orange hair walked in, a ruler in her hand. I am Professor Su, a specialist in Mana Beast research. My name is Su Xuexin. Before you begin your 4 years of martial arts cultivation, I am here to teach you a lesson. She stood at the podium. First, I will explain one thing. Why do we cultivate cold weapons and martial arts when we already have a solid foundation in hot weapon technology? She tapped the board with her ruler. Please watch this. A documentary about a gun battle began to play. Soldiers fired their guns relentlessly. On the other side, grotesque monsters roared. The bullets hit the beasts, but were deflected by a protective shield. Professor Su's voice explained, "That is because human hot weapons have absolutely no effect on mana beasts." The students stared, whispering amongst themselves, "But why?" Lin frowned. "My dad taught me from a young age that only martial arts can resist mana beasts. He never mentioned this. Why is that?" Lucian sat beside him, his arms crossed, silent. But his eyes were hard as steel. He knew the answer. Because of the rules, he thought. The professor turned off the projector. "It is because of the rules. For over 300 years, humanity has been fighting mana beasts, and we are still researching their origins. Though we have no definitive answers, one thing is certain: these mana beasts come from another world." An image of a giant portal in the sky, with beasts pouring out, appeared on the screen. "So, it is not that we chose martial arts, but that martial arts chose us. To survive the invasion of the mana beasts, we can only rely on the power of martial arts." A female student raised her hand. "Professor Su, if our hot weapons are affected by the rules of the other world, does that mean the mana beasts are just as powerful in our world, unaffected?" The professor smiled. "An excellent question. Unfortunately, I cannot answer it. I would also like to know the answer. Or perhaps the answer is right in front of us if only we face it." The students were even more confused. "Huh? What do you mean?" Lucian spoke up, his voice calm. "Because those mana beasts have already been affected by the rules. They were originally much more powerful." Professor Su looked at him, surprised. She smiled and adjusted her glasses. "This student has thought of it as well? Very good. But that is only my speculation." The students were shocked. "Impossible. That's not fair." The professor just looked at them calmly. "That's right. It's indeed not fair. But in this world, many things are not fair. That is the lesson I wanted to teach you today. Thank you." Class dismissed. Lin clutched his head in frustration. "Oh my God. The mana beasts were already incredibly powerful, and they've been weakened? Then doesn't that mean humanity's future is doomed?" Lucian's face darkened. The future of humanity 10,000 years from now was indeed destroyed. He stood up and walked down the steps. "Even with my fire seed resource vault, I cannot solve the mana beast problem in the current martial year 300. He thought of the powerful beasts out there. The future path can be said to have no hope at all. But then his eyes hardened with resolve. "What I can do is to continuously increase my own strength, and step by step, search for hope." Outside the classroom, a teacher handed him a form. "Hand this in 3 days. For now, you can go to the different cold weapon training classrooms based on your interests." Lucian smiled and turned to Lin. "Let's go." To the Spear Dao classroom. Lin grinned excitedly. "Okay, boss." Someone in the crowd shouted. "I heard him. It's Spear Dao." Lucian chose Spear Dao. "Attention, attention. Absolutely do not choose Spear Dao as your main cultivation weapon." The other students looked on in fear. One of them said, "What? I have to change my martial Dao quickly. I don't want to compete with Lucian." In the Spear Dao training room, a group of students was practicing. Lucian and Lin walked in. Someone noticed them. "It's Lucian. I can't believe he chose the spear." "Who's Lucian? Haven't you seen the video on the school web?" This year's Supreme Martial Champion, the strongest new student. A woman with red hair stood on the training platform. "All right, everyone can be dismissed for today. You can also stay and practice for a while if you want." Suddenly, she sensed something and glanced over. "Oomph." She pointed at Lucian and Lin. "You two, come up here." She stood, one eye scarred and closed. "My name is Lu Ruxing, the instructor for the Cold Weapon Spear class from year 1 to year 3. And today, only the two of you came." "All right," she said, looking at them. "You two attack me first. Let me see what your aptitude is." Lucian stepped forward, a serious look on his face. This female instructor, her lifeblood is abundant. She's a peak level 6 martial arts expert. Instructor Lu assessed him. "So he's the Lucian that the students have been talking about recently." She swung a spear, and it flew towards him. He caught the spear as it grazed his shoulder and spun it expertly. He settled into a solid fighting stance. Very good, she praised. He smiled. Then I won't be polite. Please be careful. Instructor Lu cracked her neck and smirked, grabbing another spear. Telling me to be careful. Although I haven't reached the Grandmaster realm yet, I've studied the spear Dao for over a decade. Even when facing a Grandmaster, I am not at a disadvantage. And a new student who has just enrolled is telling me to be careful. Lucian, however, used Freya Zhao's technique and charged at her. Faced with his icy aura, the instructor's eyes widened in shock. Her pupils contracted in fear. This feeling is death. So strong, she thought, spinning her spear to form a shield, but the force of his attack still pushed her back. She blocked his spear tip with the shaft of her own. How can there be such a fierce spear technique? With a single swing, Lucian sent her spear flying from her hands. The students below stared in horror. What? Instructor Lu was disarmed so easily. The tip of his spear was at her throat. She swallowed hard, her head tilted back. She stared at him in utter shock. My apologies, he said, retracting his spear. Instructor Lu looked at him, her mind reeling. Insight realm. His spearmanship is at the insight realm. I couldn't even take 3 of his moves before being disarmed. No, from his relaxed appearance, it's definitely not just the insight realm. Could it be the control realm? She composed herself. I never expected you to be so proficient in spearmanship. To have such skill at this age, you can already graduate from this cold weapon class. Whispers erupted from the crowd. What? He graduated on the first day? I'm speechless. Another student who had been recording laughed. I got that on video. Posting this on the school web will definitely scare a lot of people. A girl complained, I can't accept this. Another student tore at his hair in frustration. Damn it, this is too ridiculous. The instructor looked at him. Your spear technique has already reached mastery. The only thing you lack is real combat experience. I can smell it. You don't have the scent of blood on you. How about this? Go to the mission center and accept a mission. You can also go to the Marshal Saint Tower and the cold weapon training room. Lucian planted his spear into the ground, cracking the floor. He clasped his hands and bowed. Thank you, Instructor Lu, for your guidance. She sighed internally. In all my years as a spear instructor, this is the first time I've met a monster like you. Compared to him, my entire life's work feels like a joke. Lin stared at him, his eyes sparkling, giving him 2 thumbs up. Big bro, so this is what you meant by, you won't see me often? So freaking cool. Lucian patted his shoulder. In that case, I'll head to the mission center first. You stay here and train hard. Good luck. I'll visit you when I have time. Instructor Lu watched him go. Lin also stared after his retreating back. He's truly a giant among men. At the mission center, the place was buzzing with activity. A-rank mission, need 1 more. B-rank, need a spirit master. A young man explained to a girl, bandages, hemostatic medicine, potions, dried rations. We have to prepare a little of everything just in case. The girl frowned worriedly. Is that necessary? This mission doesn't even require us to go outside. The guy replied, what if that guy just finds a deep forest and hides in it? Don't come crying to me then. Lucian arrived and looked around. Pretty cool. Let me see what missions are available. He looked at the mission board. A-rank mission. Capture a level 5 martial artist fugitive with a murder record. Lethal force authorized if necessary. He frowned in disappointment. Why are they all missions to capture fugitives? Where are the Mana Beast missions? The guide next to him smiled. First time here? In the morning, it's all wanted missions. Mana Beast missions are posted in the afternoon, and other missions in the evening. You're a new first year, right? Lucian's eyes widened in understanding. So that's how it is. In that case, I'll take this one first. A purple mission sheet flew towards him. He read it, his expression unreadable. The guide's eyes widened in shock. A purple mission sheet? That's a double-rank mission. Are you sure? He thought to himself. Does this kid even understand the difficulty of this mission? He better realize his mistake and apologize for taking the wrong one soon. Lucian stroked his chin, nodding as he read. This mission might not be suitable. The guide smiled smugly. As I thought. Suddenly, a stack of other purple mission sheets flew towards Lucian, and the guide's jaw dropped. Lucian placed them on the counter, a disappointed look on his face. Are there any missions higher than AA rank? The guide slammed his hand on the counter, his face red with anger. Student, I'm warning you. If you're here to cause trouble, I'll report you to the school and have your academic points deducted. Lucian looked around, confused. Huh? Isn't this the mission reception window? The guide sat down, waving a dismissive hand. Missions of A rank and above require full credits in cold weapon cultivation and formidable combat skills. As a new student, have you met those requirements yet? What a pain. Unfazed, Lucian calmly presented his 6-star badge. The badge flew into the guide's hand. He looked down at it, and his eyes widened in horror. He held it with trembling hands. This is a level 6 martial artist badge. He looked up at Lucian, sweat beading on his forehead, a forced smile on his face. Teach, this is yours. Still skeptical, the guide hesitated. Lucian clenched his fist, a dangerous glint in his eye. Or should I punch you to see if it's real or not? The guide quickly placed the badge on the counter, his face pale with fear. The mission also requires full credits in cold weapon. Lucian pointed a finger at him, his aura flaring. An hour ago, Instructor Liu of the Spear Technique class already acknowledged my graduation. I think the records will be updated soon. Or you can go. The guide, terrified, extended a trembling hand. Oh, okay. Please give me your student card. I'll register you. He took the card with a nervous, forced smile. Missions of A rank and above require approval from the school leadership. You can't just take them as you please. He looked at the student card, and his eyes nearly popped out of his head. He fell back in his chair, staring at Lucian in disbelief. You're Lucian. Lucian's patience was wearing thin. How much longer are you going to waste my time? Do you want me to file a complaint against you? The guide trembled under his intense pressure. How can he have such a powerful aura? Tears welled up in his eyes. Once the review is approved, I will inform you immediately. He held out the card and badge with trembling hands. PL, please take back your card and badge. Lucian just scoffed and turned to leave, muttering, so slow. The guide waved awkwardly. Please come again. Lucian was already thinking. It's almost time for lunch. I'll check out the Marshall St. Tower this afternoon. At the same time, in another class, Hector was practicing with dual blades. The teacher nodded in approval. Very good. Someone who has never practiced the blade path before is able to use the basic blade techniques so proficiently. Hector smiled bashfully. Thank you for your praise, teacher. The other students whispered amongst themselves. He must have practiced in secret. His family is famous for their academic achievements. Another student retorted, nonsense. If he had practiced before, wouldn't the teacher be able to tell? Hector doesn't have a single callus on his hands. Then he's really a genius. Hector, hearing their praise, smiled smugly. They probably don't know. My elemental affinity is metal. Of course, I have a natural affinity for cold weapons. Every martial artist with a metal affinity is a genius in cold weapons, without exception. He grinned. I can even feel the blade in my hand breathing. Lucian? So what? He's not even here. I refuse to believe he can be stronger than me in this aspect. The blue-haired student suddenly exclaimed, staring at his phone. Holy SH**T. This is insane. Everyone, check the school web right now. The other students crowded around, their eyes wide. What? No way. Hector also looked over, startled. Lucian, he's not human anymore. On the phone screen were headlines. Strongest monster in history graduates in 20 minutes. Setting a new record for the 7th Sacred Martial University. Defeats a cold weapon instructor in 3 moves. Just how strong is Lucian's spearmanship? Insight Realm Spearmanship. Control Realm Spearmanship. Lucian's Strength Analysis version 2.0. Hearing this, Hector's eyes rolled back, and he fainted. The teacher rushed over in a panic. Hector, what's wrong? Tears streamed down his face as he wailed. Teacher, I want to change my major.